Okay, so let's get started. Welcome everybody to our live Q&A. We're about to get started. So firstly, my name is Gominda. I'm the Business Development Manager here at e.pop, the receipt app for consumers and businesses, and I'll be your host today. In just a moment, I'll have the pleasure of introducing our guest, Robert Nava, and we have some very interesting questions from the audience. Feel free to type in any additional questions using the Q&A tab at the bottom of your window. Before we get started, I wanted to introduce Amber, who is the CEO of e.pop, and she will give you a very quick intro into e.pop. Over to you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much. Thank you, Gurminder. Thank you especially to Robert. Really interesting conversation is going to be had. I've seen some of the questions, really good questions. But I want to take about 20 seconds to give an intro into e.pop, which stands for Electronic Proof of Purchase. So e.pop is a retail data analytics and smart receipt solution for both shoppers and for merchants like yourselves. For shoppers, e.pop is really a mobile app that acts as a hub for digital receipts, for offers, for promotions, and generally for personal consumption management. For merchants like yourselves, e.pop provides a 360-degree view of really deep shopper behavior and insights. So it's a better sales and marketing channel, and it's also a customer engagement tool. So as you know, because you're all Shopify merchants yourselves, both e-commerce and brick and mortar stores, so basically all retail, have a really good idea and a really detailed idea of how inventory moves within your website or within your four walls, so within your stores. But you cannot track shoppers necessarily when they leave. So throughout their shopper journey. So when customers leave your website, when they leave, click off, step outside of your stores, you're essentially blind to what they do and where they go. Because e.pop ingests all receipts from all merchants across the board, we can see the entire shopper journey. So that's a 360-degree view from online to offline and back online again. We see where shoppers go, merchant agnostic, payment agnostic, payment mechanism agnostic. So what does that mean for merchants like yourselves? It means very, very precise and deep insights of not only your existing customers, but new ones as well. So within our mobile app, merchant customers like yourselves target shoppers with offers, with promotions, with communication based on their actual spending, not perceived spending, not estimated spending, but their actual spending, because we can see item by item what folks are buying. So we also have a fast-growing online community of sustainable shoppers and merchants. It's called B1. It's free to join. We'll send everybody some information. I invite everybody to sign up to this right after the call. I'll include my contact details in any of the communication that we're sending out, follow-up email, and please do get in touch with any questions about e.pop or with B1, but really go check us out. As I said, B1 is free to join for merchants and for consumers, and it's a really fast-growing online consumer base. I'll just cap it there, and I'll hand it back to Gurminder for his conversation with Robert. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you, Amber. Right, so let's jump straight into our Q&A session. I'm thrilled to introduce Robert Nava here with me today. Robert is a pioneering entrepreneur and e-commerce expert who's been in the industry since 2010. He is one of Shopify's first high-volume sellers with $15 million in revenue, influencing top e-commerce influencers and entrepreneurs, helping them achieve over 100 million in sales. Robert also founded the Digital Entrepreneur Academy in Rwanda, empowering young entrepreneurs. He's currently the CEO of Hubcart. Hubcart gives you everything you need to help create, sell, and deliver your e-commerce products. Please feel free to reach out to Robert in regards to any additional information after the webinar in regards to Hubcart. Hi, Robert.
Hi, how are you?
Join us today.
Yeah, thank you. Glad to be here.
Perfect. So let's jump straight into the first question. So Robert, you were able to successfully launch National Parks Depot. In just 1 month, your sales were so great that you had to pull in an investor to help you with inventory. What are the 2 or 3 things you attribute your business growth to?
Yeah, so National Parks Depot was my first store back in 2013. 2013, my first store that really took off. I had been dabbling in e-commerce for years before that, and mostly sold on side platforms like Teespring, would sell T-shirts, or I dabbled in WooCommerce for a little while, and came across Shopify. And I think just because it was set up so well, had that success right away. It was just a good platform, even though they only had about 100,000 users back then. So our store just took off really quickly, and ran into problems because I had no clue what I was doing. I mean, my background wasn't in e-commerce. I was actually going to school for engineering, and that's actually what led me to online. I had to learn how to do things online, and it took off so quick. I was scared or confused, or just definitely not in the position to be able to handle that volume. And so I had to bring in an investor. Interesting, he was actually my landlord at the time. We were paying rent to him, and we were actually behind on our rent. And I was so desperate to make some money, I launched this store, and it did well. And I said, hey, look, I'm making this money. And he was a business guy, and he said, I'll help you out. I'll give you the money to get this inventory, because we were pre-selling. We were doing drop shipping at the time. And so he came in and helped out with some funds, and helped out with some areas of business operations and whatnot. And we quickly scaled. And from that, we ran into another set of problems, which came down to things like, payment processors got locked up. PayPal wasn't used to Shopify stores taking off that fast. And so, we ended up making over $1 million in the first 8 months. And so, right away, they locked up our account after we had, I don't know how much money, but we brought in a bunch of money, and they locked up our account. So now we're like, okay, what do we do now? I had an investor, but he only brought in a little bit of money. We were like tens of thousands, if not $100,000, now locked into our PayPal account. So we had to solve that problem. Inventory issues was another one that we ran into, because our PayPal account got locked up. We couldn't come up with the inventory. So, customers started reaching out, where's my order? And we had to solve that problem as well, which we could talk about a little bit later on. But there was a lot of problems in growing really quickly and being first. And, it was all about being a problem solver. As long as you could think like a problem solver, and understand that customers are typically more forgiving than we are on ourselves, we could get through it. And that's what we ended up doing.
Wow. So lots to learn really quickly, I guess, right at the beginning of your journey. So having worked in e-commerce for the past 13 years, what are the common pitfalls you see that new Shopify store owners should watch out for?
Yeah, there's so many of them. I mean, there's a lot of things to watch out for. And not to scare anybody that's just getting into e-commerce, the main thing is just to think like a problem solver. But the biggest one is communication. And as long as you're communicating with people, it hasn't always been my greatest skill, and it still isn't today. I try my best to communicate, but that's always going to be your solution. But it's also your pitfall, because you get orders coming in, and maybe you might not know how to fulfill them. But for us, we didn't have the money to fulfill a lot of the orders. So then you tend to not want to communicate because you don't have answers. You're like, I don't know when this money's coming in. I don't know when we're going to be able to get these answers out, or these shipments out. So I just won't answer them, right? We'll wait until we have an answer. And that's the bad thing to do. That's the wrong thing to do. The right thing is to go to your customer and say, look, we had a delay in inventory. The shipment got held up, or whatever happened. And but this is what we plan on doing. And to make it up for you, we'll throw in a free gift or something like that, right? Constantly communicating with your customers, not just your customers, your vendors, understanding, you might have a vendor that says, we're going to ship it out on the 30th of July. And then, you're just going to assume that it gets shipped out, but really it's not getting shipped out. They're a week behind, 2 weeks behind. And a lot of times they're not going to come and tell you, they're waiting for you to come to them. And so just constantly communicating with your vendors to understand where your product's at. Is it going to be delivered on time? Communicating with your payment processors, with us, with scaling, we had PayPal lock us up. Stripe will do the same thing. A lot of payment processors will. And if you give them a heads up ahead of time, say, hey, look, we have this promotion going, or our sales are starting to come up. We just want to let you know that this is what we're doing, and this is why more sales are coming in. They will able to put a note in your account. They're able to do things in your account so that you can scale without your accounts getting locked up. Because a lot of the locking of your account is done by an algorithm. It's just, it's a bot that does it. And then you got to go through the actual human process that could take weeks to actually get that done. But if you speak with them ahead of time, let them know, hey, we're getting ready to scale. Orders are coming in pretty good. they're going to note your account and typically take care of you, make sure that you don't get locked up. So I think that that's the main thing. Is just it's all about communicating, making sure that everybody that you're working with and even your customers are aware of what's going on when you have problems, or even when you're not. Just always communicating.
Perfect. That's super insightful. Thank you. So can you tell us about the last major growth challenge or hurdle you encountered? How did you get around this?
Yeah. So before I tell you about the last one, I'll tell you about one big one that was really difficult. And it was probably the scariest one I've had. So we had a huge Christmas one year. And I mean, we were making millions of dollars per month on this, during this Christmas. And it was during some strikes here in the US where the ports were shut down. So the port workers, all this inventory was coming in. It was all so backed up at the ports that there was ships that were positions, miles out from the ports that couldn't even dock because there was so much backup, and it went on for over a month. And slowly product started coming in, and it was one of the scariest times because, like I said, we had a lot of orders coming in, and we just could not fulfill it. It was so backed up, and so what we had to do is we had to take some risks and actually have product rerouted. So instead of coming in from the West Coast, we had it coming in from the East Coast, and then we had to ship it over, which cost us a lot more. We had to buy more product, we had to pay more for shipping and all of that. But we took that, and it still worked out for us. We ended up selling out even the inventory the new inventory and the old inventory. We ended up selling out both anyways. So just again, coming like a problem solver, looking at what you have, not being overwhelmed by it. Just, sometimes you just got to take a nap when you're overwhelmed. And that's what we had to do, is just step back and say, okay, what can we really do about this? Is this really as bad as we're seeing? And, it ended up not being. I mean, we ended up with some bad reviews because there's people that were just angry because, they wanted it way early for a gift because they're traveling or whatever. But overall, it ended up being a great year for us. So that was a big one, a major one that I keep going back to inventory, to always pay attention to inventory, because that's your product, that's your business, that's everything. So that was one. But another one would be paid advertising. If you're doing paid advertising, we had a store recently. We were doing a lot of paid advertising, and Facebook shut us down. They were just going on this rampage, locking all kinds of accounts down. And a lot of people didn't know why. We knew why. It was, we had a product at the time that, I don't want to say it was a political product, because it wasn't at all. But I'll just tell you, it was a police officer product, and it was during riots here in the U.S. And about 2 years ago, and we were scaling really, really big. And at that time, because it was a police product, and the riots had to do with police brutality, it got us shut down. And so, none of the advertisers, Facebook, YouTube, nobody would let us advertise. They just said it was too much of a polarizing product, which it wasn't. It was just a support product. But we got shut down, and we're like, okay, well, we have all this inventory now, because at that time I learned about inventory, and I learned to have a bunch of inventory ahead of time. We had all this inventory, and we had to figure out how to sell it now, how to get to our customers. And so we reached out to some news networks. We started doing other types of media. We started doing free advertising, just creating some viral type content, engaging content that people would actually share. It was actually a really big learning experience for me, that you don't need paid advertising as much as a lot of us try to emphasize. For my National Parks Depot, we were one of the first high volume sellers. They actually reached out to me because we were driving so much Facebook traffic. That's why they reached out to me. They're like, Robert, how are you getting so much Facebook traffic that's actually converting into sales? And that's always been one of my big things, is advertising. But during that time when all the advertisers shut us down, I was able to go and look at some other ways to get customers. And it was really eye-opening for me that there's a lot of free traffic sources out there, as long as you're able to create the right content for it.
Perfect. We've actually got a question from the audience in regards to other platforms to kind of use. So I'll jump into that in just a moment. But just before I do that, what is unique, good or bad, about the Shopify platform?
Bad is that it could tend to be a little bit expensive when you install a bunch of apps. But I think that's the good side. The good side of Shopify is that you can install all of these extra apps. Now, Shopify comes with a lot of set of tools that you could use to grow a business. But you do want to get plugins or apps like e.pop, or some of the major ones that we always use are going to be email marketing apps, upsell apps, bundling apps, apps for metrics, apps to communicate with your customers, which would be email, chat, things like that. You do want to have all of these installed, and you can end up paying a few $100s a month, which could be a lot for somebody that's getting started. But as you grow your business, it becomes negligible. The costs are negligible. So that would be the pro, and the con would be the cost of the apps and the need to actually install all of these other apps. Thankfully, I think e.pop's still free right now, right? It's still a free app that they can install.
Yes, it is. It is free for a limited period. We are going to switch on monthly a monthly charge. So that'll be coming in the next couple of weeks, but at the moment it is free. So let's move on to the next question. What should Shopify store owners do to really leverage Shopify?
To really leverage Shopify?
Yeah, and its kind of tools and
yeah. So I would definitely say the apps. Going back to that, going back to upsells. Upsells are going to be big. Make use of variant options. Variants being, sometimes we think of variants like a red shirt, blue shirt, green shirt, large, small, medium, large. But we didn't always use variants that way. We started using variants as ways to upsell. So, get the backpack alone for $49.99, but another variant would be get the backpack and this water pouch that goes inside of it, drinking water pouch inside of it for $59 or $69 or whatever. So variants is a good way to upsell. Doing just using upsell apps or bundling apps. Those are going to be the main things that you really want to focus on. In addition to that is just understanding your metrics. So Shopify has good reporting. So I think you have to have their top plan to get the best reporting, but there's apps that will do it as well. So just having good reporting to help understand your numbers. If you don't understand your numbers, you don't understand you don't understand your business, right? You have to really understand how much money you're making, your sales, your profit, and all of that good stuff. So, I'm going to keep repeating the apps. Apps are going to be the best way to take advantage of it. But specifically, the apps that you want to use are going to be for bundling, upselling, reporting, and communicating with your customers.
Perfect. So look, just before I continue on to my next question, I'm just going to have a really quick look at our live Q&A. So we've got some questions coming in. Let's go with, how much did you rely on paid acquisition for your strategy? Best platforms, insights, if you have any?
Well, even today, even though I talked about free traffic, and there's a lot of free traffic sources out there, those take some time to build up. So I still today rely on paid advertising. It's going to be my go-to. You could turn on a light switch and tomorrow have sales, or today have, that's literally what it's like. If you're, as long as you're making profit, if you're spending $1 on advertising and you're making $2 profit or $1 profit or whatever, you could spend an infinite amount of money, because as money's coming in, more money, or as money's going out, more money's coming back in. So it should always be something that people are doing. It should always be what we're looking at to grow our business. Just because, like I said, it's a machine. It's a money machine. That's really what it is. As long as you're getting conversions. If you're not getting sales, don't do it. Right? You don't want to waste money and just throw money out there, which is a big mistake of sellers. They think they got to spend a lot of money to finally start getting customers, which isn't the case. With good marketing, you should be making money the same day. I would say never spend more than 2 times your profit margin, without getting a sale. That's always been my rule for 10 years. Don't spend more. So if my profit margin on a product is $50, I don't want to spend more than $100 to get a sale. And the reason being is because I'm not going to make money. I'm going to dig myself into a hole. When you spend up to two times your profit margin, you could actually still have a chance to optimize it. There's things you could do to tweak it and maybe bring that cost down and get yourself profitable. So, I would definitely say that's my top way of getting users, getting acquisitions, customer acquisition. So, it's probably, I would say definitely over 90% of our revenue is going to come from that.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Robert. Let's take one more question from the audience. So, what Shopify apps have you used to grow your sales previously?
We actually made our own custom apps and used a lot of those. We actually built some of the first apps that were on Shopify and used a lot of those throughout the history. But a few that I would recommend, well, e.pop, that's going to be a great one coming out for post-purchase marketing and whatnot, and the digital receipts and all that. Good cause, that'd be a great reason to use e.pop. But Bold is a team that has done really well at creating several different apps. I think they're probably about half a dozen or more now, pop-ups and bundles and upsell and all of that good stuff. That's a good team out there. The Shogun Page Builder, I don't know if it's still called Shogun, I'm pretty sure it is Shogun Page Builder. You can make some really good, nice pages, landing pages, product pages. Works really well. It's all drag and drop, so it makes it a lot easier. Shopify does have their own little drag and drop designer now, but it's not as robust, and you can't do as much as you can with Shogun. So I think those two, so Bold apps and then Shogun Page Builder together. I mean, you could create some really cool marketing pages and good marketing funnels with just those two.
Perfect. So this leads us on to our final question. So in your experience, what are the upcoming trends or developments in the e-commerce industry that Shopify merchants should be aware of or stay ahead of?
Yeah, so I think everybody's heard of AI. Everybody's probably tried it out by now, and I think that's going to be the future. From now going forward, I don't think it's going anywhere. There's a lot of trends that we see, in the 13, 14 years now that I've been in this space. I've seen so many ups and downs, so many trends, and a lot of them come and go, but AI is going to be one to stay. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think it's now being knitted into our entire society, and that's something that we should be focusing on e-commerce. AI for everything from just optimizing your data. AI could do that. Communicating with your customers, having bots that will handle all of your customer service, really good too. I mean, you could train these bots to have your data set, have all of your answers so they don't give false answers or wrong answers. Using AI to create great content. We're using AI to create great imagery. So we could take, not even being a photographer, you could take an image of your product and put nice backgrounds, put nice settings, make really high quality photos out of it using AI. Video content, voiceovers for all of your marketing. So one of the big ways that we're getting traffic with advertising and organically is with videos, stories, shorts, and reels type videos, like on YouTube Shorts, TikTok Reels, or Instagram and Meta Reels. Those work really well, but a lot of times people don't want to be on camera. So we're using AI to create content. You could create voiceovers, you could create the script, create the voiceover, create images, slideshows, all of that using AI, and create really engaging content. Another one would be brainstorming with AI. We use AI to brainstorm, so you could just use ChatGPT or several other platforms out there, but ChatGPT is going to be the best. And just brainstorm concepts, because ChatGPT is a genius of geniuses. I mean, they've really got a good set of data. It's really good information. If you're not a copywriter, ChatGPT will write copy for you. If you're not good at coming up with marketing concepts, you could say, ChatGPT, give me some, here's what I'm selling. Give me some marketing ideas. Write me my ad copy. So I think that the AI is the one thing that definitely sellers are going to want to leverage, right now and going forward. If there was one more outside of AI, I would say AR and VR. Selling products. Customers are looking for a real experience when they're buying online, and actually a lot of customers are going back to shopping in stores, especially after COVID lockdowns. They were going back into shopping in stores. And the reason being is they wanted that real life experience. And a lot of times you could be fooled online. And so giving them the ability to shop with AR or VR, is a great way to reach customers and give them that in-person experience still through the internet. And then also gives up other opportunities to sell digital assets. One of the things that we were doing, and another one of my companies that's slowly progressing forward is a company in the metaverse. So you could sell, say you sell t-shirts online, whatever your t-shirt brand is, you could actually create digital t-shirts and sell those in like Roblox, or there's a lot of other gaming platforms, but selling digital replicas or digital assets, they're called digital twins, or physical and digital. It's growing pretty quickly, and especially in the fashion world, they're doing a lot of that. So I would say if you're in the fashion world, definitely look at metaverse or AR, VR, selling digital assets as well.
Perfect. Well, look, that brings us to a close. Thank you so much for your time today, everybody. Robert, thank you for your insightful answers. We really enjoyed having you with us today. And I don't know, I'm sure I speak on everyone's behalf. I've learned lots and lots and lots from your answers. So thank you again.
Thank you. I appreciate having me here.
So as mentioned, e.pop is offering all Shopify merchants that have listened to this webinar free access to our platform for life. There's a link in the chat for you to join, which literally takes 5 minutes. There will also be a survey that will pop up at the end of this webinar. So please take a moment to fill out the survey, which will only take literally 30 seconds. You will also receive all of this in an email right after the webinar. Thank you all again for attending. And once again, a special thank you to Robert. Enjoy the rest of your day all.